Good evening, and thanks for tuning in. I just wanted to highlight a trade here that I took. This is actually Christmas Eve, and the stock is ELOG, and I've got a 1 minute chart here. And this was actually really fun. It ended up closing out my day $2,700 profitable. Again, simulator based. Just want to give that disclaimer. I've been trading in a simulator, working specifically on these strategies for about the last year. And I'm excited to be up in a simulator in a pretty big way in December thus far. I'm now up over $12,000 in the simulator leading toward the end of the year here. But I just want to emphasize that it's been great. It's been a great way to focus in on taking these correct entries, looking for stocks to hold this 21 EMA, and then looking for that extension higher as we start to see some covering and some additional buying pressure coming up. So this stock had been on the scanners and it had had this move in the pre-market. We can see here held the 21, got another nice rip up. I sat down to trade about just about 6 o'clock is when I sat down on this day. And as this stock pulled back, what I was waiting to see is the 21 EMA going to hold, or are we going to get, a little bit of a pull back and a push up through? So I was watching the level two. I saw this come down, saw this little tail along with then a close right here, right under the 21 EMA. And on the level two, there just started to be a lot of flash of green, and this price started to really move aggressively up through the 21 EMA. So I took on a pretty sizable position, ended up being at about 2,500 shares, and took on that position. My average cost, so I took these about 249, and then I added again here on this next candle. This was a much lighter selling volume candle, and we held really close to the high here. And as I did my final adds, literally this thing just absolutely ripped in probably 4 or 5 tenths of a second. So half a second, this thing had ripped all the way up to 290 and then hit 320. And by the time I got half off, my average exit ended up being 293 on half of my position. So now I was really looking to see, is $3 going to hold? You could see we got a tail up through three, couldn't hold. Another little tried to get through three, couldn't make it. Another attempt at three. I did have a sell order up here right at $3 that went through. And then on the rest of this, I essentially just assumed that if we lost the 80 MA, which we did here, I would be out the remainder. So I took the rest off. I didn't do this trade here. Like I said, I was at this point, I was up $2,700. I'd had two very small losers, one for about $30, one for about $200, and then this ended up being a $2,900 trade through here. So I mentioned I had 2,500 shares. Obviously, that math doesn't compute with about a 40-cent move there. So I would have had a much more sizable position there. 40 cents to get 2,900 dollars would have ended up needing closer to about 5,000 shares, almost 6,000 shares. So a little bit bigger position than I initially mentioned, but great trade nonetheless. And as I mentioned, this has really been my focal point. Really looking for this 21 to hold or this transition back up. I'm also trying to pay really close attention to the TTM. This is kind of weak bull, so not exactly the best. I like this histogram size being a little bigger as this 21 holds, but I have been focusing on taking the first and second pullback to the 21 EMA. Those have been just critical focal points for me. So again, really looking to maximize the opportunity on the first and second pullback. So by way of reminder, the 8 EMA is the yellow. We have the VWAP as the orange, the 21 EMA as the white, and then basically looking to have a stop loss just below the 34, which is this dashed orange, or essentially risking between 10 and 15 cents a trade, depending on how far away that is. So in this case, I took this entry, 250 was my entry. Actually would have set my stop loss a little tighter here because if it couldn't hold that $0.50, I wanted to be out. So my stop loss would have been 239. That's 11 cents a share, and I would have been content just to kind of sit and wait to see, if this consolidated a little further sideways and then we got the move higher. Nonetheless, great trade. Thanks for tuning in. And if you felt like this was helpful, give me a subscribe and a like and share this information with other traders. Thanks.